Minority AIDS Project was doing the usual things to help stem HIV. You know, posters on walls and slogans and all of that. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, you could do that, but people don't like wearing condoms. And it can be fun, but we need to actually actively do that in some kind of way. Now, they're a nonprofit organization with government funding, so they can't throw sex parties. But I'm an individual person, so I can throw a sex party. And that's how Blackjack was born. Blackjack was born out of the AIDS movement, but it was born because I wanted to be in a room with people who understood safer sex, were not afraid of it, and wanted to participate in safer sex. I gathered like-minded people around us, and we started Blackjack. And Blackjack, we call them meetings. So we had Blackjack meetings every month, basically sex parties, but we had these rules. But everybody was self-policing. So we didn't have to go around with flashlights and say, hey, you don't have a condom on. If somebody started to do something without a condom, everybody in the room would call them out, because we had a critical mass of people who believed in what we were doing. We had our meetings at hotels. You had to fill out an application. I look back at this and I'm saying, God, how did we do this? But the whole application thing was a hoop for people to jump through to make sure that they believed in what we were doing. It wasn't so much that we were going to do anything with the application. It's kind of like, if you are into this enough that you're going to write all this information on a piece of paper, we're going to let you through the front door. Name, address, telephone number, what sort of things do you like to do? Why do you want to come to the meetings? But nobody ever got turned away. It was the fact of filling it out that was the point. There was a similar thing with regard to race, because it was called Blackjack because it was for black men. There was a racial question on there. We never turned anybody away, but the fact that we said that it's a sex club for black men was designed for people to self-select themselves out. But if they chose not to take the hint, then they got in. And one of the things that I kept thinking was, I have a room full of men here at a hotel, all naked, all having sex. I'm kind of responsible for their safety. There was a two-part process. If they were verified, we would give them the exact location of the hotel. But if they had never been there before and had just filled out an application, they still had one more hoop to go through, and we met them someplace other than the hotel, generally a fast food restaurant or something. And then once they would come there, we would verify the information that was on the application, and then they would be given the hotel address, and they only had to do that once. So yes, people would come in and they would take their clothes off, put them in a bag. We had food, we had stuff to drink, we brought VCRs with porno that was playing in one room, and then there was another room where the sex took place, where there was music, and it was very light, so people could come in and they could socialize in the non-sexual rooms. There was always two rooms. After we were doing this for a while, Minority AIDS Project asked to come to our meetings, and I thought that was so cool because it gave us credibility, but it also helped with what the idea was, that that it had a safer sex impetus behind it. And then at one point we would say, okay, everybody, stop what you're doing, come on in, and we'd all come into the living room area, and we'd turn on the lights, and then Minority AIDS would give like a 15-20 minute presentation, how to put on a condom or blah, 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 whatever they were going to do for 15 minutes. And then after that, we'd turn off the lights. Okay, all right, now go back and practice what you just learned.